Thank you very much, Igor, for making this very, very fruitful session. I think very practical discussions. This is what we need. And huge thanks to Emmanuel from TTS bringing this together in the past months. I think that was a big challenge. So also an applause for Emmanuel, please. Me personally, I have 3 takeaways from this synergetic session. One is that we need to check the slides for Igor. Very sorry on that, but we will make sure that in the published materials next week it will be there. Sorry for that. The other thing, what I took away from Koen's presentation, that maybe we forgot to put one alternative fuel in the potential list. He mentioned beer, but just as a side note. But the serious takeaway, and this is what we are pushing for as being Pro-Danube International, if I might say for a moment, is that let's break the topics down to applicable groups of vessels and infrastructure. Maybe it's such as with the fairway conditions. Let's not talk about 50, 60 sections at the same time. Let's take 5 or 6 which make higher impact. Let's break it down to vessel types, locations, regions, or whatever, and let's start talking about and acting one by one, or region by region, or type by type. We were now talking about vessels, but obviously on many slides and in many parts of the discussion, we were talking about infrastructure. So now we make a turn back to ports, and actually, hopefully, some answers we will also get from Karin, because there was question and not all we could suit from the online either, but supply. So ports play an important and will play an important role in supplying all those what possibilities we were discussing. And that's one of the reasons why the SEANERGY project was also, or is also set up, which is, up to my best knowledge, mostly involving maritime ports, seaports, but due to the great conditions in the program guidelines, there had to be an inland port as part of the project, and this inland port is an Austrian port, port of Enshafen. And on behalf of Werner Auer, Karin Vogelsang will present us the essence of the SEANERGY project, and I hope that we will learn something special for the inland ports. So Karin, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for inviting me today. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to present today not our port, but the project we're involved in, mostly focused on seaports, you already said. It's the SEANERGY project, different than synergetics. But I want to start with a small saying. I just read it on the window, and it made me thinking, I don't know if something will change, if it will be better when something will change. But if we don't change something, nothing will be better. So we know that we have the goals. We should reduce CO2 emissions till 2030 and till 2050. And we as a port are also forced to do something. And therefore, we are always involved in projects, and this time in the SEANERGY project. So can you please start my presentation? The SEANERGY project is about sustainability educational program for greener fuels and energies on ports. We know, as we heard and we saw, that the seaports and the ports are transmitting or shifting the goods all around the world, and more than 74% of goods are imported and exported going through seaports, but coming then also to our inland ports. And however, ports are responsible for a significant rise of environmental impacts, for example, through carbon emissions, soil and water pollution, as well as loss of biodiversity. SEANERGY, the main output of our project, will be the master plan. And this should solve all these challenges. Here you see the consortium. We have 12 European companies from 9 European countries. Magellan Circle is the lead partner, and we as Eemshaven are the only inland port in this project. The main goal is, as I told already, that by 2025 we will create a master plan that will present goals, objectives, training modules as well, and directions for short, medium and long-term operations that will allow stakeholders to assess, plan and execute activities to transform ports into clean energy hubs. We see that we have to reduce CO2 emissions by 55% till 2030, and this is not long time, and till 2050, zero emissions. If we can make this, it's a great, great challenge. But we see yesterday and today that everyone is researching and looking for solutions. This master plan will become the main reference for all European port institutions in the energy and fuel transition. Here you can see our work packages, the topics, the thematic issues in our project. Work package 1, there we work on the understanding the current European port situation and stakeholders. We have a lot of stakeholders. In work package 2, we look at the gap analysis of the European port clean energy transition. And in work package 3, then the input from work package 1 and work package 2 is included in a master plan. And this master plan will be then implemented in the work package 4. Here you see the relevance of ports with regard to energy transition. We have lots of utilities, we have storages, we have K-grains, we have vehicles, we have, if we are a three-modal port like the Eemshaven port, we have trucks, train and vessels coming in and out of the port. We see already first steps with regard to energy transition. We have business parks in our area, and these companies already put photovoltaics, by example, on their roofs. We have the first LNG fueling station in the Eemshaven port. But we don't know if LNG will be the future fuel, because we heard yesterday and especially today that hydrogen, methanol, ammoniac and whatever is there already in the market, but we don't know where the way is going. So where should we provide or upgrade our infrastructure in the port? We implement the project in 4 stages. The first stage is a lot of researches. We want to understand the current European port situation and the stakeholders. In the second stage, we have a look at the gap analysis. In stage 3, already mentioned, will be the focus on the SEANERGY Master Plan and the implementation then in stage 4. We are now in the stage 1 and 2, and we have already some deliverables. Namely, the first one is the report and stakeholders framework and database. The second one is a catalog of technologies. We heard already a lot of technologies. We in the SEANERGY project create or have already created a catalog of all available technologies on the market for maritime, coastal communities and ports. The third deliverable is the result of demo boards with life cycle analysis and ESG sustainability assessments. This is a very new topic, and coming also from the European Union, reports we will have to do in the future to report what are our emissions in the port. And you can guess, if we have such huge fields in the port, this is huge work to do, but it comes, it's already there, and we have to deliver these figures. And the fourth deliverable we already have is the report of stakeholders know-how limitations. More information you have on our website. This is the information so far I can give you from the SEANERGY project. It started last year, so we are right at the beginning with the first deliverables. But we as Eemshaven were in the past times and the previous times also involved in other projects like the Dionysos project. And in the Dionysos project we created port development plans. And here on this map, you can see all along the Danube till the Black Sea region, in each country, there were created port development plans. And I clustered it in one slide. You have an overview. What we can see, that the Danube ports are so different than seaports. We can say not one fits all. So each port has its own story, and we have no standard manual we can implement. So we have to make it tailor-made, because we have port areas from 5 hectares to more than 300 hectares, like the Eemshaven port with integrated business parks. We have public, mixed and private organizational structures. We have cargo transportation, passenger transportation, and already mentioned integrated business parks. And we have everything from single modal to tri-modal ports. So you never can say we have now one solution that fits all. This will not function. We clustered then these port development plans because they are already there. And we found out that lots of ports are investing in the future in greening the port, in cargo, in infra and digital infrastructure, because digitalization is also a very main topic for the future for ports to simplify processes. And therefore you can also say about energy transition, so saving port processes. Lots of ports are investing in structure and in and out, meaning hinterland connections, because for us it's very important to be connected to the TEN-T corridor. What we can also see that it's a great diversity in the port development plans. We have very different starting points, so each port starts on another level compared with the other ports, and we have also big differences in regional economy. And the future developments are very broad. It means that measures and projects are very different and tailor-made for each country and each port. Here you have a summary. We have 13 port development plans, and 9 ports of them are investing in the future in greening the port, 4 ports in cargo, 13 ports, so meaning all port development plans have infra and digital developments in their development plans, because this is very important that you have a strategy for investigations and investments in your port in the future. 4 ports out of these 13 ports invest in structure, and 8 ports for hinterland connections in and out to the port. Here I have my last slide, because we women are used to speak maybe faster and can bring things maybe more focused and quickly and easier together. No, just a joke. But the green ticks, we always already invested in electrification of our cake grains, of the yards. We also have LNG fueling station in Eemshaven port, not along the Danube, but in our port. And we also investigated in supplying electricity to cars. Our companies already put some photovoltaics on their roofs, also Port of Vienna and other ports in the Danube region. And yeah, now we're looking for what will be in the future, what will come, which technology will be most important for us in inland ports along the Danube. And maybe I can give you a summary of interviews we already did in the SEANERGY project so far. From my person, I interviewed European Federation of Inland Ports, Mr. Herfried Leitner from the TTS company, Robert Raphael from Pro-Danube Management, PGA, Governance of Agency of Serbia, and Mr. Manfred Seitz from the Danube Commission. And maybe just a short overview, the questions I put: how important is transition to clean energy sources in ports, especially inland ports? Yeah, what can I say? It's most important. If you want to stay competitive in the future, you have to do something to integrate you in the transition of energy. The second question was most promising solutions for economic and regulatory barriers to energy transition in ports. Coming to the economic barriers, no clear business models are there yet. Fossil fuels, we heard already, are cheaper. We need a support from national, international, and local governments. And once the whole network is there, and it can be compete with fossil fuels, then ports will be able to develop in much quicker fashion. Coming to the regulatory barriers, for just electricity questions, we need the entire electricity grid. We heard it before. When it comes to hydrogen, ammonia, methanol, we need the regulatory permissions. I haven't heard this today. We need permissions. Maybe you have permissions for certain pilot actions, but what is with permissions along the Danube, with more than 9 or 10 riparian countries? Will it be easy? Will it function? We need to get the rules and the regulations ready to transport them in a good fashion. Further barriers are maybe there are no clear ways now and actions how to achieve carbon neutrality exactly and how to move forward. Success stories when coming to this question in the Danube region were very right at the beginning. So we are investigating in onshore power supply, and we in the Danube region decide or make a difference between a mobile part and a static part. Static part we mean when the vessels are directly on our side in the port. So they dock on the cable and you can give them electricity, no problem. And when they are on the moving on the Danube, there we need solutions. What are the preconditions? This was not my question, but coming out of an interview, what are the preconditions to decarbonize port operations? And the answer was, we need framework conditions which make it attractive and economically feasible to reduce CO2 emissions, because behind there are investments. And in what will you invest? Investments have to be based on business cases. And look at the regulatory framework. What is the set of regulations and laws which falls on port administrators and port operators to reduce CO2 emissions from their activities? Yeah, I cannot tell you everything now because it would be too much. If you're interested in, you can contact us at any time. Eemshaven Port is easy to find in the internet. Thank you very much again for your audience, and thank you also to the people watching online. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Last but not least, presentation, because we need synergy in these activities. Good afternoon. Thank you from my side. Also, thank you for an excellent event yesterday and today also. And we discussed about greening of ports. We discussed about inland green policy and study, and also greening your ships. And it's the reason that I use the green dye. Thank you also, Igor, for your dark green tie, and also Robert for green belt on the watch. Every detail is important. Okay, let's back to the point. My name is Dejan Trifunovic. I work for the Danube Commission, and I will present our activities in scope of ports. After my presentation, my colleague also, Antoine Stoan, our external expert for the European Union Ukraine Solidarity Line, will explain some details. As you know, the Danube Commission is one of the oldest international organizations in the world, and we are focused to free navigation of the Danube. We are focused to, first of all, navigation issue, and issue regarding hydrotechnics and the techniques. In last years, in parallel with the project Daphne and Dionysus, we are focused on ports, and we established expert group of ports, which produce expert meeting of ports 2 times per year. I think that we will start with presentation. Yes, it's the first slide. When we discuss about the new ports, we discuss about 75 ports and 198 terminals on the Danube. Frankly speaking, we include also and Sava River, Tisa, and Drava in that scope. Regarding statistics, you have seen that that last year we have turnover in the Danube ports of 76.5 million tons. It is very important. It is the surplus of 3.2% in comparison with 2021. Also, we have data for the first 2 quarters of this year. It is the 45.7 million tons. It's very positive. There is huge support of Ukraine ports, but in other countries also, it's also a positive situation. First of all, regarding the good navigation conditions, not quite good, but in comparison with last year, is better. Our cornerstone is this database. Actually, 7 years ago, we established interactive map, and we significantly improved this map in last year with the web interface. It is the GIS technology, and it means that from June last year, we have about 80 parameters in scope of port infrastructure. First of all, physical infrastructure, digital and environmental infrastructure. What is important to say also that from June this year, all port administration directly fill in data, and please use this, it's public available database for projects, for studies and other details. On next slide, yes, as I already say, we established the SP group of ports. We cover all port administration. It means 23 port administration of the Danube. And we have regular meetings and focus on the port policies and port regulation follow-up process. Also, we facilitate and monitor studies and projects in that scope. We are dealing first of all with port infrastructure, as I said, physical, digital, environmental. Follow up this process. Also, 2 key question is greening of ports and also energy transition ports. Our first chairman was Mr. Werner Rauer. I think that he's online. If not, Karin is here. Thank you, Werner, for a very, very significant contribution in that process. Together with Mr. Mike Zaitz, Werner Rauer, myself, and team of the Danube Commission, validate by all other, stakeholders, we validate this document produced in 2022 as a joint statement of the Danube port authorities and port stakeholders, initiative of the Danube Commission Secretariat. Also, new chairman from September this year is Mr. Vuk Perovic, Director of Port Government Agency of Republic of Serbia. I think that Vuk is also here, yes. Thank you. We already started some activities in preparation for the meeting in March. As I said, we generate this document, joint statement of the Danube port authorities and port stakeholders. And the question is very simple regarding the European Green Deal and the smart mobility strategy. The question is what the new ports can do in that scope, what is the contribution of the new ports in that scope, and we generate this document. It's 4 pages document, it's not too long. And we think that it will be cornerstone of these activities. Nothing happened tomorrow, nothing happened next year, but it is the long time process for the next 5 years, next 10 years, next 20 years in scope of energy transition and greening of ports. Who is interesting, you can find on our website, and also I bring copies here. Also, other goals is how to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by at least 55% by 2030 and achieve net zero of CO2 emission by 2050. We started consultation about this initiative in March 2022. We generate document on 24th of June 2022, and as a declaration of decarbonization and sustainability of river and seaports in the Danube region, we had some problem with term declaration. We had some suggestion of stakeholders, and also relaunch and rename this initiative on the 2nd February 2023. So far we have 6 signatures. Is not too much, but we also invited all port operators, all port administration, all port terminals, stakeholders association to sign this initiative. This initiative shall interact with European projects supporting the greening of ports. This initiative shall facilitate a pipeline of implementing projects also. And very few words regarding the next meeting. We'll set up for 12th of March next year. It's usually in hybrid form. Also, we already started the consultation with new chairman, Mr. Vuk Perovic, about the agenda. As I noted, SP Meeting of Ports shall function as an information and communication platform. We have planned for some topics for the next event. It will be update of policy and regulation framework relevant for Danube ports. I hope that in March we will have revised TNT policy complete. Recently we have some improvement of AFIR directive. Also, there is some changing regarding combined transport directive. EFTI is in progress also. We also discuss about actual projects, consider progress regarding this initiative joint statement. Also, we continue close cooperation with SEANERGY Project and follow up development and support of Green Inland Port Study. And I hope that in spring 2025 we will have also one of the final workshop in Budapest within the Danube Commission and SP Meeting of Ports. European-Ukraine solidarity line is very important. Our activities it is almost 2 years. There are many efforts in that scope, and I will invite my colleague Antonio Stoyan. Antoine, the floor is yours to say and provide some details about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dejane. Good afternoon to all of you. My name is Antonio Stoyan. I am an expert consultant for the Danube Commission, working for the Danube Solidarity Lane, which was set up in May last year after the war started in Ukraine. And our main objective and the objective of this Solidarity Lane was to facilitate the cargo flows to and from Ukraine. So my topic today is not that much related to the topics which were discussed before, but I can assure you that the area I'm responsible for is waiting for all the projects that you have presented so far. So it's a pool, a market for your projects. Just in a few words about this Solidarity Lane. The aim was to help Ukraine, to ensure the cargo flows in and out under the war conditions, under conditions when the Black Sea ports of the Ukrainians were blocked by the Russians, and the single alternative, not a single one, but one of the best alternatives to export their grains were the Danube Ukrainian ports. So our focus in the Danube Solidarity Lane was on this area, specifically on the Ukrainian Danube ports Reni, Izmail, Kilia, but also the surrounding area, the port of Giurgiulești in Moldova and the ports of Brăila and Galați in Romania. There were 2 axes on which we have concentrated. So using this corridor, there are 2 alternatives for the Ukrainians to export their cargo. One axis is via Sulina channel, right now also via Bystroe, their new channel that they have opened last year, to go straight into the deep sea and export to the rest of the world. The second alternative was to use the Danube ports to go via Cernavoda, Black Sea Danube Canal, Constanța, and there to load the seagoing vessels to the world. So our focus in the Danube Commission was exactly on these 2 axes. First, at the very beginning, of course, we were acting as firefighters. Where the fire was bigger and people were louder, we were interacting. But at a certain moment, we realized that we have to approach this corridor in a very structured manner. And together with the European Commission, the DG Move, we have prepared an action plan just focusing on these two corridors, two axes. What can we do to improve and to increase the flow of goods via these two corridors? One, it was Sulina, the second one, Danube to Constanța. There were two principles of work: identify the bottlenecks and create new corridors for the existing traffic. For that, we have interacted with the market and with the authorities. And the Danube Commission was a kind of an interface between the market and the authorities. That was a big challenge for us. I was coming from the private sector. I worked 30 years in the private sector, so I'm used with the things to happen immediately. And then I realized, facing the authorities, the administration, that they have another way to move. If you allow me a comparison, it's like everyone is listening to the same music. And the private sector is dancing quick step. But the authorities, they know slow waltz. The combination of the two, it's a chaos. Probably a kind of a Zulu dance. So the mission of the Danube Commission was just to synchronize the steps and at least to lead the two in the same direction. And in order for you not to remain with the idea that the role of the Danube Commission is of a choreographer, let me give you some numbers. So from February, I don't have any slides, so you have to believe me. Huh? From February last year, when the war started, Ukraine exported 105 million tons. This figure is updated on the 15th of November, and out of this, the Danube corridor carried 30.2 million tons. The Black Sea corridor, the so-called Black Sea Grain Initiative, as it was until July, and the humanitarian corridor, how it is called now, which is formed by the three Ukrainian Black Sea ports, Odessa, Pivdeni, Chernomorsk, they have carried 42 million tons, which counted like 40% of the total volumes exported by Ukraine in the past 1 year and a half. The Danube corridor percentage share in all this volume was, as I mentioned, close to 30%, so 29%. But the share of the Danube corridor for this season, when the Black Sea corridor collapsed in July, and it started again in October as a humanitarian corridor, so I revert, the Danube corridor counted for 53% of the Ukrainian export, which means that this is a viable corridor for their exports. And things can change every day, because we had a situation with the Black Sea Grain Initiative operating perfectly. All the cargo was, not all the cargo, but the majority of the cargo was streamed on the Black Sea Grain Initiative. Okay, I've seen that I will be very short. And then the Russians stopped the traffic at Bosphorus. Then everything shifted to the Danube. Now they use this safe corridor via the territorial waters of Romania and Bulgaria to exit via Bosphorus, but there were already some cases happening last week with the 60,000 tons vessel of wheat, which hit a mine close to Odessa. 2 weeks ago, there was another vessel under Liberian flag hitting a mine, so things can change every day, and we have to keep this corridor open. And there were some steps, talking about the figures. First, I have to admire the courage and the work of the Ukrainians. This was possible by increasing their capacity in their three ports from an average of 20,000 tons before the war. In October, they have reached an average loading rate of 110,000 tons per day, with a peak of 125,000 tons per day. And this is something to admire. But the flow was also increased, also via Constanța and also via Sulina. How was that? How was that possible? With some measures facilitated by the Danube Commission and the European Commission, meaning the increase of traffic on Sulina Canal. To give you some examples, last year the traffic on the Sulina Canal was from 10 to 12 vessels per day. Today is almost 22, 24 vessels per day, and this was possible by increasing number of pilots, but also by implementing the Primus project together with the European Commission, which will allow from November the Sulina Canal to operate also by night, and this will again increase the navigation. A lot of administrative or facilitating administrative modifications, meaning border controls, SPS controls, waiting times, anchorage places, access on the canal. These were measures which we tackled together with the European Commission, case by case, and still we have a long list to solve. So I hope that this area will benefit of all these nice projects for the future. And I think that one of the most important things that we are missing in the area is digitalization. And this integration of digitalization with the authorities and the port community, and this is what I think it will improve the things. Situation right now, 2 words, traffic collapsed. Why? A few more. The humanitarian corridor is working quite well. The traffic dropped via the Danube corridor from 110 to an average to 75,000 tons. There are 3 reasons for that. Humanitarian corridor, anti-corruption measures taken by the Ukrainians with implementing export licenses and control of the VAT at the borders. And third, it is, of course, the commodity market, which is very low, which forces the farmers to keep their cargo in the silo. But my expectation is that in the coming months, this traffic will maintain or even increase on the Danube corridor. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question, I can reply afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Dejan. Thank you, Tony, for your contributions on behalf of the Danube Commission. And actually, you also saved some time from the wrap-up because I think as you gave the inputs, it was more or less a summary that we badly need the Danube ports acting now, acting in the future, acting digital, acting sustainable, and it's an unfortunate situation that a war is a reason, or one of the reasons for that. Hopefully that will end also very fast, but it has shown that we need a functioning network of Danube ports. Therefore, the Danube ports network shall stay alive, and we care about that. It's very difficult otherwise to summarize content-wise, but I think we can mention that we tackled quite some topics even when we were discussing about vessels in the Synergetics project. There are, and in the SEANERGY project has shown that we need to combine the elements because the ports are the anchors, starting points, endpoints, logistics hubs, energy hubs. I can take this list as long as you want, but I think you rather want this short because you can already smell the very nice smell from the lunch room. So nothing stayed but for me left but to go to a very risky part of the 2 days. It's always very, very risky to say congratulations and thank you, but I dare to take that challenge. It was said by myself. I have a list, but I cannot guarantee that it's complete. First of all, I would like to say thank you for the participants, because without you, it would not have been happening. So big applause for yourself online and here in the room in the past 2 days. the speakers. I will not list, but just one sentence. Everyone kept the time limit what we agreed. So Bernhard and his team behind, please stand up, Bernhard and Martin. I think you haven't seen them in the past 2 days, but it was a process of several weeks to get everything together on site, online, camera, sound, panel discussion, online participant to the panel discussion. Wow, I can just say thank you. We have on the stage, we had the Green Inland Port Study content-wise. Gert, Jasper, thank you very much for the content topics. Elvina, Jan-Christoph on the multi-reload project. It was also a long process to come here. Elvina needed to leave, but Jan-Christoph is still in the room. Thank you for the content guidance on that. Igor and Emmanuel, also on the back, staying invisible. Igor and Emmanuel for the synergetic session. Henrike and Peter for the ThinkPort, because without a room, you cannot do anything. And then to the practical issues, Leila, who is also always staying invisible in the background, and her team, please also stand up, and big applause for her. And last but not least, my team, starting with Ruxandra, who is in her maternity leave with her cute newborn boy, but I think despite that, she was following online. So when we started, and I would really like to ask Christian and Charlotte to come to the stage. Christian always stays in the background, but he is the master behind all the communication, dissemination, and you cannot avoid. Christian, you need to come to the stage. No, that, you cannot stay invisible. And Charlotte as well. Big applause. Thank you for your enthusiastic work during the nights and the weekends, and also thank you for Herfried as our chairman of the board when it comes to the association, for giving us directions in the past 9 months, which counted double.
Come on, the only thing what counts is that we also have to say thank you to the master of disaster, to Robert Raphael. So please. Fantastic.
It was a great pleasure, and it was very easy. So you have seen these sheets of paper in my hand. I just needed to go one by one, and we came to the lunch. So nothing more. Please follow us on the LinkedIn, become a member of ProDanube International, and this event was framed under the Green Inland Ports study in cooperation with the multi-reload and synergetics projects, all being funded by the European Union, and a huge thanks for Marta as well to bring this together, and we hope for the continuation. So please follow us. All the information, updates, presentations will be shared on our website and then on the LinkedIn, and all the project colleagues will take that over according to our plan already as of Monday. And already and as of now, we say goodbye to the online participants because unfortunately they cannot enjoy the lunch. But you in the meeting room, thank you for attending. Thank you for staying with us for 2 days. And the lunch is open, as I have seen from the catering colleagues. Thank you again, and see you soon next year as well with the next editions.